This is another episode of the Vault Unlocked. And today is all about not how much money you make, but how much money you keep. Today we have Sally Gimon here, who promises that if you make over $100,000 gross income, she can save you up to 5 figures year after year. Sally, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. Now, for those of for people who are listening, they have no idea who you are. Tell us a little bit about who you are and how'd you get here today?
I appreciate that. I became a real estate investor in 2018 when my mom got sick. In 2019, with my mentor, I wholesaled 7 properties nationwide, paid off all my debt, had $50,000 in my bank account. I was a great real estate investor. COVID struck. We used March 17th because my mom's from Ireland. We canceled a St. Patrick's Day party. On April 1st, 3 of my 3 properties didn't pay me, no income coming in. On April 4th, my CPA calls me to say, congratulations. He actually congratulated me that I made so much money. My tax bracket went from 22% to 24%, and I owed the federal government $94,000. I don't know what's going on with the lights, I'm sorry. $94,000 in short-term capital gains. He put me on the payment plan, interest and everything else. My great aunt Kitty in Ireland always says, sleep on it. Next morning, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I knew I read an article about the Rockefeller Spendithrift Trust maybe 5 months ago, earlier. And I start researching the Rockefeller Spendithrift Trust. If they can save taxes, I can save taxes, and everybody else should know how to save taxes.
Yeah. And just so when you started implementing this, like what happened? Like what changed?
It took me 5 months. My first property, I'm a real estate investor, my first property in the trust, I knew when I bought the contract, it was a $20,000 bank-owned property that was going to go to auction for $50,000. That $30,000 spread in between, at 24% tax rate, would have been $7,140. When it finally went to auction in August of 2021 because of COVID, it went all the way up to over $64,000. I made $44,000 without lifting a hammer. But more importantly, I got to save $10,365 in short-term capital gains I just put back into more real estate. It's an amazing thing.
That's the key. So let's take a step back here. Why do you think people not know this? Like, I would say this is like a trick, but this is not even really a trick. This is just a law. And if you understand it, you understand how to keep your money. Well, why do you think people don't even understand the concept of like, I can actually not pay taxes? Like, that's interesting.
Correct. The reason behind it, there are 1 million active attorneys in the United States. Only 4% are trust attorneys, and 97% of the trusts sold every year is what my mom and dad had, the family trust that avoids probate. And I'm going to be honest, it's expensive to get started, but the Rockefeller's Trust is 7 generations old, has 400 people under the same EIN number, and they're all saving taxes. My little trust with my 2 brothers, 2 sister-in-laws, and 9 nieces and nephews, we're going to start a family dynasty.
Yeah. Now, do you have to have all those people in a trust, or you can just have a family trust, if I'm not mistaken? Like, you could just be one person in a family trust. Is that correct or incorrect?
With this, so I had both my business Spendthrift Trust that saves 90% on federal income taxes. 43 states no longer pay state income taxes. Nobody in my family is a independent worker except for me. Everybody else is a W-2 income earner.
Yeah.
So for every birthday and Christmas, I purposely buy, because my name's Sally, my older brothers, I hate to say this, it's kind of like Charlie Brown, so I buy them silver coins with the peanuts on it. My 17-year-old nephew, as soon as he gets his coin, he goes to sell it, and my brother who knows put it under the same EIN number so he doesn't have to pay taxes on selling a coin he got for free.
Yeah, or capital gains on if there's investments attached to it.
Exactly.
So how do people, like, again, I think there's an education piece here before we just jump into it, because like I understand the trust because I was fortunate enough to have good accountants to teach me the trust. But like for those business owners that are making over $100,000 gross and are paying, 30, 40% taxes, like what's a couple of things or steps that they can do to ensure that they can start switching that around?
Perfect question. If they're interested, I have a free masterclass on the Great Discovery. Um, One of the tools I use is a free tool called NerdWallet that shows you the formula for taxes. I just talked to a gentleman, a new client. He's a franchisee owner in Ohio, made $175,000 in 2024. We're going to save him over $34,000 in 2026. They just came out with 2026 tax brackets. And he's just like, are you serious? I don't have to ever pay this back? Worst case scenario, as I told him, his great great grandson in 2095 thinks he was crazy and cancels the EIN or employee identification number and closes the trust. His great great grandson is going to owe the taxes are due in 2095. Anything saved in 2025, 2020, I'm sorry, 2020, 2095, anything that was saved in 2025, 2026, 2030, 2040, they never have to be paid back again.
Why is that?
The trust, the law firm I work on behalf of, was written by a Harvard law professor 77 years ago. You will file a 1041 tax return, not a 1040 tax return. So 93% of all Americans file 1040 tax returns. They do all their deductibles. Hey, I'm going to take off my phone. I'm going to take off my car, everything like this. How the trust is written, that you will save at least that amount of money. I started my trust in Arizona in September 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. I saved 92% in federal income taxes. I don't know what changed last year, 2024. I'm in North Carolina, but I've been here since 2003. I made more money. This is weird with the lights. I'm sorry. I made more money, and I got to save 94% federal taxes and did not pay North Carolina state income taxes. So I did pay 6% of federal income taxes. Sorry, I
Yeah.
don't blink lights.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that it's hard, or it's not easy to set up a trust, or you said it's expensive.
I'll be honest. When I started both my business and beneficial trust, it was $42,000 for me. With my clients, I priced it a little bit less. Most of my clients had either one, the business trust, or they have the beneficial trust. Um, of all my clients, I think only about 8 of us have both. But you
Sorry,
know,
it cost $40,000 to set up a
one trust
trust.
would be $20,000. The second trust would be $17,000. So if you just wanted the business trust,
Yeah.
it'd be $20,000 up
Why?
front.
Just out of curiosity, when I hear that, I don't understand, why is it so expensive to set up some documentation?
Um, you've got the law firm behind you. You have an entire team that's behind you. Uh, the team's going to get your EIN number, the letter for your bank. They're going to be there holding your hand to make sure things go well. There's other companies that are selling the Spendthrift Trust. Anybody could sell this. But what I like about the law firm is in 77 years, not a single trust has been audited and only one trust has been questioned. And now Paul Benson's grandson and great grandson run the law firm. You get questioned by the IRS, they're going to defend you free of charge. So you're saving taxes and you have a safety net, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So what I'm hearing, I think very important, is you can set up a trust that will fail, or you can set up a trust that won't even just succeed, but will stand the test of time if the IRS comes after you. So it's not a place where you actually want to cut short or cut corners. It's a place where you want to make sure and ensure that it's set up ironclad, bulletproof, so that your money is safe.
Completely. I'll be honest. I spoke to a real estate group down in Atlanta, and one guy's like, "Hey, I got my Spendthrift Trust for $8,000." Like, who's your attorney? He was like, "I don't know." I'm like, "What happens if you get sued?" He goes, "I don't know." I'm like, "Oh, congratulations, you saved a lot of money, but I don't want to be put in that sticky situation."
Yeah, yeah. So why isn't this more aware? Why isn't this public? Why wouldn't be people promoting this, or even marketing to this, or even speaking to this? Why is it such a hidden Rockefeller family thing? When Donald Trump screams about it at the top of his lungs that he doesn't pay taxes, everyone thinks he's some animal, but he's just following a law that he put in place, or his dad put in place many years ago. So I still don't get I have a hard time with the disconnect. I understand if you're an employee, tough luck. That's your job, like you're an employee, but as a business owner, how do you not? Or let me ask this, maybe a different question here. When should someone look at getting a trust? At what point does that make sense? When you're earning X dollars or profit, when does that make sense?
Correct. That's why I say at $100,000 per gross per year. One of my clients, she sells earrings on eBay. She knew her tax bracket was going to go from 22% to 24%. She knew my story, and she's like, "Let me get this started." She was only making $75,000, but the money she was going to save is well, she started this back in 2023. I just talked to her back in January. She's making even a heck of a lot more money than she was in 2023.
Yeah. And because she got the trust, she's also saving money. Tons of
Correct.
money.
And she lives in
Wow.
California. So California's people like to say
Yeah.
California has the highest taxes. They're the third highest tax in the United States.
So $100,000 gross is your kind of the number of when people should, because I tell people, just because I have a lot of people that work with my company as well as 1099 that we call them contractors in Canada, but I say like roughly around 80 to 100,000 is like when you want to start a year is when you actually want to start going from like a small business to corporation. That's when you kind of get the benefits of a corporation and all of that. But to set up a corporation is like a couple $1,000s, even with a lawyer, right? So a corporation must be very different than setting up a trust.
Correct. And, I'm going to be honest, I'm in a national real estate group, and I was taught when I became a real estate investor, get an LLC for each one of my companies. That's what, get an LLC, get an S-corp, get a C-corp, things like this.
Yeah.
I started doing a mastermind in my real estate group, and the gentleman who is the CPA mastermind, we made a presentation to him, and he sat there and he listened to us. And he goes, "Thanks." He has no interest in helping his clients because he gets paid to set up their LLC, he gets paid to set up their S corp, things like that. And the really sad thing about it, anyone can go online 24/7 to the Secretary of State or the Corporation Commission of each state and research LLCs, S corps, and C corps. 40% of them get sued every single year, and people aren't aware that that information is completely public. The trust keeps your information 100% private.
So trust is also private. They can't even find you. They wanted to. Wow. What are some of the challenges you see with business owners when it comes to trust?
One of my clients, I was in a pitch-off contest down in Florida. I came in fourth place out of 100 people, so I did okay. One of the judges, he has he has 94 different LLCs, S corps, and C corps. A really complicated thing.
Yeah. So he's just hiding and moving money and protecting
Moving money
himself.
from place to place. And,
Yeah.
he started the trust and he's slowly moving things into it. So it's not difficult. You don't have to change your business cards or anything else. The only thing you're going to change is where people pay you, where the receivables are coming in, and where you're paying out to pay your bills and everything else. And for him, we're going to save him over $9 million so far this year. He's not completely transitioned into the trust 100% yet. $9 million.
Wow. So you're saving someone again that you just dropped that so easily and lightly. So as a result of setting up someone who has an extensive portfolio of corporations, LLC set up, you showed him the world of the trust. And as a result, he's going to save this year alone, which isn't everything even done yet, is 9 million. So my question is this, how can a guy who has all these LLCs not understand or have anyone in his net? It's just weird to me that a guy like that can keep building all these LLCs, but not have the accountants or the lawyers around him telling him you need a trust. Like why? Like that's where I'm trying to get to. The one thing is like, how can people not understand that or see that or know that?
No offense to CPAs. They study tax. They study what they need to. I do a free mastermind every Monday night on an adult child whose parents have 5 walk-up apartment buildings in Brooklyn. You can do depreciation for 27 and a half years. They've owned the apartments for 20 years. They're trying to figure out, do they sell them or what they do with it. So the son gets on my Monday night video. We set up an appointment. He then sends me an email and says, my CPA says you're lying. And I said, textbook, trust attorneys. Only 4% of attorneys in the United States are trust attorneys. They study, it's called Scott and Asher on trusts. 3 weeks later, someone sets an appointment on my calendar. It's his CPA. All his clients in Brooklyn are at this 27-year mark. Some of them are going to sell their apartment buildings. They need the beneficial trust. Well, all of them need beneficial trust. And he and I have a joint JV agreement, and we're talking to all the people. Another situation I ran into, I live here in North Carolina. I went to a multifamily. They had a meeting here, multifamily association. A gentleman who set up an appointment with me. I get on the Zoom. He goes, "I don't want to talk to you. You're lying." And I'm like, "Okay, that's too bad. You've got all these investors who could be saving so much in taxes. They just think it's too good to be true."
Interesting. But I mean, Donald Trump brags about it on national television. Like, and that's how he does it. It's very interesting. Sometimes logic's not so logic anymore.
Correct. His father, a true story about this, Donald Trump and Frank Trump got sued by the city of New York for discrimination, and his father started this trust in 1972 because he never wanted to be sued again. You know,
Yeah.
I wish my father paid for my trust, but he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you this, because I know some people have families, they have generational wealth that they're not there yet, but they're thinking about it. How does a trust work when it comes to sending it, handing it down to generations and whatnot, and protection there?
Whoever is a trustee or trustees can make the rules for all the beneficiaries. If you decide one beneficiary, it might be too loose with the money, hey, they get, let's say, $1,000 a month and nothing more. The other beneficiaries might get a large portion. There's no contesting the will. There's no infighting. There's nothing they can do with this. One of my clients, kind of a sad story. Her adult daughter lived in Portland, Oregon, and she was a hiker, and they thought she had MS, and they treated her for MS for 4 years. Nobody did Lyme disease tests, and she actually has Lyme disease. So she's got 2 adult sons. She's got her daughter who's bedridden. She's purposely setting up inside the trust a conservatorship for her daughter. If something happens to Veronica, her daughter Crystal will be taken care of. But her 2 adult sons, who are okay and everything else, they will get their money given to them when she passes away, if that makes sense. Tax free.
Yeah. And can you change the trustees on a trust, or is the person who sets up the trustee for life?
Here's a funny story. I'm single. When I went to go open up my bank account at Wells Fargo, it was Wells Fargo who stopped me because they're like, "What if you get hit by a school bus? You die." So I had to talk to my oldest nephew, and he's just like, "I'm in charge of how much?" Because I have real estate in 3 businesses. So he's my associate trustee. I can decide, as I'm a trustee, I can decide who is the beneficiary and who's no longer a beneficiary. When I pass away and I'm dead in the ground, he becomes a trustee, then he gets
Yeah.
decision
Decide
beneficiary.
who is that? Yeah. Okay. But you can also do a will. Does a will trump a trust, or does a trust trump a will?
A trust trumps the will, correct?
The trust trumps the will.
Because a
So
will is
so it's very important to have a trust associate then
correct,
in
correct.
play.
And
Yeah.
because whoever, I mean, I'm not saying I'm fantastically wealthy, but I have built my wealth. I have my 17-year-old nephew who sells the silver coin. He can't handle getting a lot of money right now. I mean, gosh, he'd go crazy. But my oldest nephew, who's 29 with 2 kids, he's a little bit more responsible. So I can figure out how, if I do die this year, I do have everything lined up, and I will change what I plan to do as things change, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It sounds like there's protection, there's money saving, it is a little complex, but it could be easy with the right support and right service. If
Exactly.
somebody is listening to this and they're saying, "I need to get my ass a trust right away. I need to protect my future and my generational wealth. And just plain and simple, I'm just sick and tired of paying taxes," where can they come and find Sally?
My last name is unusual, so I'm on LinkedIn. My website is www.thetrustisyou.com. Again, my goal is to teach this, have it in your quiver. Maybe you don't need it today, but in the future, you to have it. So please reach out to me. I'm here to help.
What was the website again, just so we can hear it one more time?
www.thetrustisyou.com. TheTrustIsYou.com.
TheTrustIsYou.com. There you have it. Sally, thanks so much for being with us.
I appreciate you having me. Have a wonderful, well, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say have a great Halloween, but that would, the time, dates hit this.